In one of the bathrooms at Granada Hills High School, a 14-year-old teenager is hiding. From where he is, he can hear his tormentors running through the hallways. They're looking for him. They're hunting him. And if they find him, they'll make him suffer the worst. Head in the toilet, bag thrown on the floor, and maybe even a few punches. Every time he comes to class, Travis Kalanick gets thoroughly bullied. His only refuge is his studies. Every night before falling asleep, Travis tells himself the same thing. One day he will be the best, the strongest, the most popular, the richest, and all those losers won't be able to hurt him anymore. And Travis is right. 19 years later, he's going to start a company that will change our lives forever. Uber. So yes, I know some people pronounce it Uber, or even Uber apparently, but I like the 100% French-style pronunciation Uber. So, we'll stick with that for the video. 27 years after that tough year, he would become the 238th richest man in the world, with a personal fortune of $2.6 billion. But the story I'm going to tell you today isn't just a success story. It's also the story of a company that got rich illegally, breaking every law it could, spying on its users without their knowledge, dragging its competitors through the mud, harassing, abusing, and terrorizing its employees. But then, how did Travis revolutionize the way we get around? What did Uber do to establish itself even though its basic idea was completely illegal? And above all, how is it that with 170 million monthly users, Uber only became profitable in 2023? Hi Team Mindset, I hope you're doing well. First of all, I wanted to thank you for the feedback on the last video, the story of Snapchat, because many of you enjoyed the new editing style. There are 3 full-time editors working on it, so that's the best reward possible. We're going to keep doing everything we can to improve and get back to a schedule of 2 videos per week. So feel free to leave your suggestions in the comments. Today, we're going to break down the story of Hubert, a tech giant who made his mark through a lot of controversy. It's a story full of boldness, huge risks, but also shady business practices, espionage, and corruption. As usual, we'll finish with the 2 big business lessons to take away from this Hollywood-worthy story. All right, let's get started. The snow. Snow blankets the city in thick white. Outside Le 104, a Parisian performance hall, 2 men shiver. On the left, Travis Kalanick, an American who recently sold his company for $19 million. On the right, Garrett Camp, a Canadian who became a millionaire after selling his company to eBay for $75 million. The 2 men aren't moving. They're waiting for a taxi, and it isn't coming. To pass the time, the 2 tech moguls discuss what they saw at the Web 08 conference, which gives them an idea. What if they created an app that lets you order a taxi and track it in real time? Uber was born. Actually, no, stop. That's the first lie. Uber's beginnings are much less romantic. There aren't 2 gentlemen under the snowy Paris sky, just a man tired of being single and Bond. Garrett Camp, the Bachelor, is like James Bond. We'll revisit the Bond reference later. Let's start with Garrett. He was born in 1978 in Calgary, Canada. He has a degree in software engineering. During his master's, he created StumbleUpon, which recommends websites based on user preferences, something ubiquitous today. But in 2001, it was revolutionary. In 2007, eBay bought his company for $75 million, and Garrett pocketed $9 million. In October 2007, he met Travis, also a tech veteran, at DeLobby, an investors conference. He later became an employee like Travis. In 1998, Travis founded Seekers, which is a pirate search engine. He was sued for $250 billion. After bankruptcy, he made a comeback with Red Swoosh, sold in 2007 to Akamai for $19 million. Garrett and Travis cashed in and remained as employees. After crossing paths, they parted ways. In San Francisco, Garrett began going out, leaving his car in the garage. At every date, he relies on taxis and they're always late. So he tries something else, befriending private drivers and renting vehicles by the day. But the problem persists, the waiting, the broken promises. Then in 2006, Garrett watches Casino Royale. I don't know if you've seen the movie, one of my favorite Bond films. But at the 26th minute, James Bond pulls a Sony Ericsson out of his pocket. For those feeling nostalgic, check out my video about this vanished giant in the description. The phone's screen displays a detailed map of James Bond's route. At the top is the destination, framed by a rectangle, the Ocean Club. The car, depicted as an arrow, is tracked in real time. A compass, distance traveled, and average speed are shown at the bottom. While seemingly trivial today, it was futuristic at the time. That's when Garrett has his breakthrough. What if he developed an app that lets you locate taxis, order them with one click, and track them in real time? In May 2008, Steve Jobs announced that Apple would release a global positioning system, equipped iPhone in June of the same year. Garrett acquires UberCab.com for $35 a tool that can support his invention. He pitches the idea, convincing Travis to become a co-founder. Garrett is the technical brain, Travis is the relentless salesman. UberCab is launched, but at the time, it's not for everyone. UberCab is for the elite. On July 5th, 2009, the first ride with drivers in suits and luxury sedans is launched in San Francisco. Immediate success. Until October 20th, 2009, when the transportation agency shows up. The problem is that Uber drivers use their own cars, which isn't legal. The result is a $5,000 fine per ride and 90 days in jail for the employees. But Travis fights back. We're not a taxi company, we're a telecommunications company. And that's when the war begins. In 2011, UberCab becomes Uber. It's not just a rebranding, it's a declaration of war. A signal to regulators, to the markets, and to competitors. Uber is going to rewrite the rules of the game, but Travis is one thing. The only force capable of bending the law is the people. All drivers must use the app. Uber purchases inexpensive iPhones from AT&T, modifies them, and provides them to the drivers. Yes, free iPhones just for signing up. The drivers, of course, flock in, and that's not all. Uber offers cash bonuses to drivers who complete a sufficient number of rides. As a result, more rides, less waiting time for customers. Garrett's dream is becoming a reality. No more hassle calling a premium rate number. To attract customers, Uber offers the first ride, then the second, then the third. After that, it stops. Everyone wins except Uber. Because yes, the company loses money, a lot of money, but it gains notoriety, and Uber uses that notoriety to challenge the government. When a government raises concerns, the app notifies users. With one click, they can sign a petition. Sometimes even a pre-written email is sent directly to a legislator. Uber rallies its supporters to attack any politician who criticizes the company. In 2012, Uber launches UberX, allowing anyone to become a driver despite its illegality. Authorities respond to Uber's disregard for the law. Fines, vehicle seizures, Uber responds, we'll pay the fines. And in the shadows, it deploys Grayball. Grayball is a software that detects police officers. It analyzes location, social networks, and credit card data. And when an officer is detected, shadow ban, he opens the app but sees nothing. No Uber car exists, at least as far as he can see. The craziest thing about all this is that this system was designed by former CIA agents. Illegal, of course. Uber successfully bribes officials to operate unimpeded until 2014. The person calling Travis is Mark Zuckerberg, the founder of Facebook. And yes, billionaires stick together. He raises the alarm, his teams talk about Lyft. Uber has a new enemy, Lyft. For those unfamiliar, it exists in the United States but not in Europe. It's a company that decided to compete directly with Uber. So the company organizes parties to recruit, but Uber sends its own employees there. They hand out coupons through the drivers and poach them. And that's not all. Lyft gives out pink mustaches to stick on cars. And Uber responds with ads showing a razor shaving off the mustache. Then the company goes on the digital offensive. Uber creates fake accounts on Lyft, tracks the drivers' locations, and develops secret software. And its name says it all. Hell, literally hell. Thanks to hell, Uber identifies drivers active on both apps and buys them out. Bonuses here, overpaying there. After he leaves Lyft, Uber immediately lowers its prices, sabotaging on the ground. In the towers, Travis makes his move. He knows where and when Lyft is selling to an investor, and he strikes. At every meeting Travis calls, he boasts. Uber promises deals. The investor forgets Lyft, and Travis disappears. Not always that's true, because Uber needs money. It raises funds in particular. $258 million from Google Ventures and other investors will follow. Uber hires, crushes, and nothing stops it. Neither the law nor Lyft nor any limits, until the day when the bubble bursts. Fausto Luna enters the 175th Street subway. He waits for a train to pass and jumps onto the tracks. Hubert killed him, deceived by a false promise of working less and earning more. As time passed, the workload kept increasing. He earns less with no fixed salary, vacation, or coverage, only exhaustion, and the certainty of being replaced at any moment. Fausto is not an isolated case. In 2018, multiple Uber drivers took their own lives, claiming the company exploited and deserted them. A driver said it directly to Travis Kalanick in a viral video, and against all odds, the drivers rebelled. Taxi drivers protest, denouncing poor working conditions and demanding higher pay. The streets are a battleground. Uber is accused of increasing job insecurity and safety concerns, with a tragic incident occurring in 2014. A 26-year-old woman falls asleep in an Uber. When she wakes up, she is sexually assaulted by the driver. The man turned off his phone so he wouldn't be tracked. He will only be found thanks to the license plate that the victim photographs. This crime will make headlines and reveal a major flaw. Uber is not safe. With UberX, anyone can become a driver. No interview, no serious background check, just an app, and you're good to go. Uber falsely claims in its ads that it conducts background checks. And for this false advertising, it will have to pay a $28.5 million fine. Gradually, users are becoming aware. In 2017, a bombshell drops. Suzanne Fuller, a former engineer at Uber, publishes a testimony exposing human resources harassment. Silent, everyday sexism. She describes a toxic culture and blind management. Travis orders an internal audit. The results are damning. The abuses are systematic. Travis Kalanick is ousted in June 2017. Dara Khosrowshahi will replace him. However, Gareth Camp will remain until 2020. And then everything changes. Uber, founded in 2008, surprises everyone by becoming profitable in 2023 after losing over $30 billion since its inception. For the first time in its history, $2.8 billion in operating profits. Confidence is also returning. June 23, 2025, Uber is valued at $178 billion. That's over 40% more in a year. Slowly, Uber is coming back. The company is now present in 70 countries and more than 10,000 cities around the world for its transportation services. The company has transformed an industry, facing challenges along the way and inspiring others. The term Uberized is now used to refer to an industry that is being radically transformed by the collaborative economy, often by bypassing established regulations and using digital platforms to directly connect supply and demand. This leads to a significant drop in prices and increased flexibility for both consumers and service providers. But the real question is, what business lessons can we learn from this story? Lesson number one is that lasting success comes from a good company culture. For Travis Kalanick, only winning mattered. This toxic mentality spread throughout the organization: harassment, spying, unfair practices. But when the culture collapses, the company collapses too. It took a change in leadership and a complete rebuild of Uber's values for the company to regain trust and profitability. Lesson number two is that growth at all costs is not a viable model. For years, Uber burned through billions to dominate the market. The company sold services at a loss, subsidizing rides, hoping to achieve profitability by reaching critical mass. This strategy almost killed Uber. It was only in 2023, after 15 years of existence and billions of dollars raised and burned, that the company finally posted its first operating profits. The lesson: sustainable growth is better than aggressive expansion. So, in your opinion, was Travis's strategy the right one to create a revolutionary company? Because does it really have to be that people suffer to change the world? Or do you think a different approach could have brought the same result? One thing is certain, this story reminds me of Snapchat, which experienced explosive growth. But despite all its innovations and its 480 million subscribers, it still doesn't make a dollar, mainly because of several betrayals, as shown in the video that's appearing.